Day Sunday, Chapter 13, Their Last Day. The family, dressed as neatly as they could manage, arrived to the little kirk north of the village. Dad had on a tie, Tarzan his favorite football jersey, and Hugo had polished and brought along his ukulele. Melody, despite butchered hair, leftover football imprint with accompanying purple welt, plus taped-up glasses, looked as darling as ever in a lovely cream-colored and lace dress with a beautiful bow tied in the back. Because it was such an unusually lovely day, it had been decided that the service would be held outside. There was a place around the back particularly designed for just such an occasion. Overlooking the sea, everyone could sit comfortably enjoying the view and get some sun on their skin. Everyone from around the island was there, folks old and young, families with small children, and many other people they'd not yet met. Monk Moses stood at the front in his long, heavy black robes. Kruger was there in his faded greenhouse coat, and large Marge was parked at the back on her electric scooter in her best brown tracksuit. Local legendary artist Ms. Olga McSkolja was there working on her latest knitting project, hogging a whole row just to accommodate the lengths of her next woolen masterpiece. The cafe owner had on his Sunday apron, the farmer his freshly washed Sunday boiler suit/overalls, and even the ferry operator was there, smiling cheerfully in his yellow, moderately cleaned, oil-stained, reflective high-vis coat. Everyone present and accounted for, happily fulfilling their weekly communal obligations to promote appearances of social respectability. Nice. Just teasing. Once everybody had settled into their seats, the service began straight away with a couple of songs. Normally the church sang without instruments, but this time they had a special treat as Hubert had been invited up to the front with his ukulele. Now, usually it's wise to be cautious about whom you grant the privilege of public responsibility. Unless, of course, they're kids. Then it's adorable. Never mind the critical fact that there'd not been any helpful rehearsal time. Moses, facing the congregation, conducted with his arms, while the people firmly held open song pages flapping in the strong breeze. Hubert plunked enthusiastically on his 4 nylon strings, regardless of the key the song happened to be in, and despite knowing only 3 chords. Entirely unfamiliar with any of the music, his chord changes would often be in complete contradiction to the direction the melody was taking, making for a very interesting auditory sensory experience. One needed not look carefully to spot members recoiling and cringing at the clashing dissonance. But the moms loved it. When the 2 songs were over, one mother leaned over to another, gushing the praises of the young. A non-mum, overhearing from behind, threw his head back, rolling his eyes in disbelief. He just finished praising merciful God that the torture had finally ceased. "Thank you, young Hubert, for that wonderful contribution," Monk Moses offered, smiling awkwardly at the congregation while attempting to gesture Hubert to his seat. Hugo stayed right where he was. "Would it be all right if I played one more song that I wrote?" he asked innocently. Dad and Melody looked at each other in surprise. They'd no idea Hugo had actually written his own song and were very impressed with his bravery to perform it live and untested. Half the congregation foolishly voiced their encouragement, while the other half applauded politely. The monk forced a gracious response. "Why, yes, of course," he replied spinelessly, wringing his hands. He relinquished the floor, sat down, and braced himself. Hubert spoke. I just want to say how much I've enjoyed my stay here, and I wrote this song thinking of some of the really nice animals we've seen on our walks. When I think of all the bad things that happen in the world, I wonder, why can't we be more like the animals? A collective sentimental "aw" arose from the audience. One of the members, prone to maternal tendencies, wiped a small tear from his eye. Hugo strummed his uke, closed his eyes, and began to sing. The mousie and the owl sang in harmony, a mutually melodious melody. Well, thank you for not harming me. Let us show the world we can live in peace. 'Cause ain't it a wonderful feeling that we can all get along? But the mama owl got hungry, so she ate the mousie and the mousie was gone. There was a small gasp from someone in the audience. Hubert's prepubescent angelic voice continued. The bunny and the fox sang in harmony, a mutually melodious melody. Well, thank you for not harming me. Let us show the world we can live in peace. 'Cause ain't it a wonderful feeling that we can all get along? But the mama fox got hungry, so she ate the bunny and the bunny was gone. Tarzan got up on his chair, the only one clapping to the beat. The birdie and the cat sang in harmony, a mutually melodious melody. Well, thank you for not harming me. Let us show the world we can live in peace. 'Cause ain't it a wonderful feeling that we can all get along? But the mama cat got hungry, so she ate the birdie and the birdie was gone. When Hubert had finished his song, he opened his eyes, quite chuffed with himself. Silence. The crowd sat there looking stunned. One lady, eyes wide, hands over her mouth. The air was obese with awkward uncertainty. You could hear a needle drop. Literally, Miss Olga had dropped her knitting needle onto the ground. The monk had slid low in his seat, embarrassed to be seen by those behind him. No one moved. Someone coughed. Melody looked over at her dad and saw he'd been attempting to hide an amused grin, unsuccessfully. She started to giggle at the sight of her dad. Dad could not control it any longer. He burst out in unchecked laughter, despite church protocol. Melody instantly joined him, her sweet laughter dancing through the air. Tarzan, still standing on his seat, cheered his friend, clapping his approval. The spell was broken. Soon, one by one, everyone became infected with the contagion of mirth. The entire kirk had joined in, laughing unrestrained at the absurdity of the situation, laughing at the awkwardness, laughing at their discomfort, laughing at their laughter. Moses raised his head over his chair, peeking around with relief, a smile breaking over his face too. Hubert took a bow and then joined his family. Eventually, the hilarity subsided, couldn't be helped tears wiped away from cheeks. Monk Moses resumed the front and quieted everyone down. In rare moments like these, it can be healthy breaking from normal routine and doing something refreshingly different for a change. It was a tough act to follow, and Moses hesitated to spoil the liberating mood. Nevertheless, he did. He pushed on ahead with the sermon he'd prepared, despite general expectation and noticeably impolite groans. Ah, boo! The restless crowd voiced their collective disapproval. Couldn't they just finish early for a bloomin' change? Olga McSkolja bent down to pick up her knitting needle, resigned to occupy herself with her craft for a little longer.